legs today. Let's start though with a strap. We'll just do a little bit of raising the arms up, taking some deep breaths, and then we'll switch gears towards our legs. So just open up your strap to a comfortable width, and then just inhale on your way up, exhale on your way down, whatever feels comfortable. Nothing extreme here. Just move the arms, open the chest, take some breaths. Look up, look down. Right, and then let's change this up just a tiny bit. Right, you're going to keep your strap in front of you. Keep your right hand where it is, and then just pick the left arm up and circle it around behind. Right, and then bring it back in front. All right, so now the left hand will stay, your right arm will come up and over. Couple more times. I feel that this kind of opens up the side a little bit more. It also makes your brain focus a little bit because you have to kind of concentrate on what you're doing. All right. Finish by moving your right arm, so you're kind of staying even with the two sides. And then a couple of times from the center up and over. Oh, right. Done with the strap. Kind of circle those shoulders around. All right, we're going to work on the calves first, and then we're going to do some footwork. So take a sticky mat. If you've got a really thick mat, you'll want to roll from one end, but if you've got a flexible mat, you can fold it in half. We're just going to roll it nice and tight. And the nice thing about using a rolled sticky mat over wedges or blocks or anything is that you can adjust this thickness. You can make it less thick if you need to. We all have different thickness of mats. Some mats are squishy, some mats are more firm. So we'll play around with it a little bit here at the beginning. All right, so we're going to start standing up. You'll want to have some support. It doesn't have to be a wall. It can be a chair. It could be a desk, whatever. It's just so that you're not having to worry about balancing. All right, so you're going to take that sticky mat so that it's, 1.5 feet from the wall. And we're going to start with just 1 foot first. All right, so your heel will be on the floor. The ball of your foot and your toes will be up on the mat. And then you can keep your other foot on the floor. You can keep that knee that's on the sticky mat, you can keep it bent to begin with here, and just kind of pulse forward. Just kind of like you're going to go into a Virabhadrasana 1, bend the knee a little bit. You'll start to feel that pull in the back of the ankle. It's going to be more ankle than calf with the knee bending like this. But just see, can you keep your heel on the floor? Would it feel better to lower the mat a little bit, or are you good here? All right, and then let's switch sides. Sometimes you have to reach down and hold the sticky mat. All right, so your other foot's on the floor, heel is on the floor, ball of the foot and toes is up on the sticky mat, and then you're just standing on the floor with the other foot, bending the knee of the foot that's on the mat. just kind of pulsing. Noticing like, is one side tighter than the other side? Oftentimes with the legs, one is tighter than the other. All right, everybody feel good? Got your mat kind of the way you want it? So now is when you're gonna wanna kind of reach out and stand, use the wall or some piece of furniture for balance. Step forward with both feet, place both balls of the feet onto the mat. Both heels are on the floor. Now, the more you lean towards the wall, the more you lean in towards your support, the more intense the stretch across your calves is going to be. All right, so the knees are locked now. And you can just kind of lean in towards the wall. If that feels good to just hold it, just hold it. If it's a little intense, you can back off. Move in towards the wall, back off, away from the wall. And of course, if you're not feeling much of a stretch, you can always increase your height. You could add a rolled blanket around the mat. All right, but just stretching those calves. Stretching the calves is going to help with foot pain. All right, the legs, the muscles of the lower legs are extrinsic muscles of the feet. What's this? Let's change this up just a little bit. Look down at your feet. Make sure your toes are pointing straight ahead. Sometimes we step up with the feet turned out a little bit. So make sure the toes are straight ahead. And then you're going to, your foot's really not going to lift, but you're going to shift the weight. All right. So shift the weight a little bit more to the outer edges of your feet. You'll feel a little bit more stretch through the outer ankles. All right, and then put more weight into the ball of the foot, the big toe knuckle of the foot, making the outer edges of your feet light. You'll feel a little more stretch through the inner ankle, maybe even through the inner arch of the foot. All right, so now just back and forth, outer edge of the foot, take a breath. Inner edge of the foot. Take a breath. And again, the closer you go to the wall with your hips, the more intense it will be. Outer edge of the feet. Inner edge of the feet. One more time. Outer edges of the feet. Lean forward some. Get a nice stretch. And then inner edges of the feet. Okay, now stay on your mat, but back off just a little bit. Now you're going to make some circles with your hips, right? So as you go to the right, you'll feel that outer edge of the right foot, the inner edge of the left foot get heavy, and then you come around, they roll and they shift. Now it's the outer edge of the left foot, inner edge of the right. So just make some circles. It's really the hips that are moving. Right, as you bring that top of the femur bone closer to the wall, you get the stretch. So you don't have to be like moving your whole body towards the wall, just circle the hips. Feeling that rock in the feet, the change of pressure in the feet. And then let's switch directions. Okay, so go to the left first. More circles. And then when you get to center, stop at center, lean in towards your support, lock the knees out so you really get a calf stretch. And then slowly step off that mat. It's kind of like coming out of roller skates. If you want, you can kind of point each toe a little bit. Kind of do a little plantar flexion. We're about to go into some plantar flexion with this next thing. All right, so we're not done with the rolled mat. So if you only have one mat, you can put a couple of blankets down. If you've got a mat, I still recommend a blanket. All right, so if you tend to be a little tight in the fronts of your ankles, a nice way to support that is to use a blanket where you can let the tops of the feet kind of hang off, 1 or 2 blankets. So if I were to do that, right, I can't do it very well, but I can show a little bit. It would be both feet for you, obviously, right? So the instep of your foot would be towards the floor. And right there at that, where the foot and the shin meet, that would be on the edge of the blanket, right? So you see how if I had more blankets, I would have less plantar flexion in my foot. So that's option A if you tend to be stiff in the fronts of the ankles. All right, if you're not, then have the blanket. You're just gonna go so that the entire shin bone, top of the foot, is supported on the blanket. That just gives you some padding. Now, if you can't sit down onto your heel, all right, you're welcome to have a little bit of support between the buttock and the heel. All right, I'm struggling. I would probably need a second blanket, but I'm actually going to stand up. All right, so you're going to sit down, both feet, Vajrasana. Knees are together, ankles together. Just sit. Have your rolled mat where you can reach it. All right, so this is step 1. So you're going to pretend that the chair is the floor. All right, now grab that rolled sticky mat. This is going to set you on the path of enlightenment right here. Now, remember, if this is too much, you just unroll it a bit. It's fine. You would hold it this way. It's fine if this stuff starts flopping around behind you. It's not going to cause any problems. All right. We all have different thicknesses of mats and whatnot. All right. So you're going to start by coming up onto your knees like so. And then you're going to bring that mat and you're going to pull it up into your knee crease. And then say a little prayer and sit down. Now, you can lean forward a little bit. That's going to take some of the weight off. The other option would be to have some blocks under your hands so you can just push down and lift yourself up. This is typically very intense. And if it's not intense here, you may find a place where it's intense, yeah? Because it depends on your calves. And we're not going to take a whole lot of time here. This is a nice, be patient with it, watch TV, maybe set a timer and try to do like 30 seconds. And then we're going to work our way down. We're only going to do about 10 or 15 seconds. So come up, and then you're just going to move that rolled mat maybe half an inch back. Not very far, and then you're going to sit back down again. So for some folks, it gets easier right here, and for some folks, it gets harder. It just depends on where you hold that stiffness in your calves. Just take a couple of deep breaths. This is the calf tenderizing. All right, come forward. Take it about another half an inch back. So if you have pain in your feet, like a plantar fasciitis pain it's more towards the heel. It's not up in the ball of your foot, but it's towards the heel, maybe the midfoot. A lot of times that's coming from tight calves, especially if it's a pain that you feel first thing in the morning. Because when we sleep, our feet are positioned to where our calves shorten overnight. And so they're tight and they pull on the sole of the foot. So this just helps to soften those calves. Now, one more time, come forward. Now you want to come back. I don't like to go back onto my Achilles tendon. All right, but I like to come back to about where it goes from muscle to tendon. So right there at the top of the Achilles tendon. Yeah. Lift up, come forward, come about a half an inch forward. We're gonna work back up toward the knee. Deep breaths. Just let your weight do the work. Lift up, bring that mat another half an inch or so closer, starting to get to that meaty part of the calf. Forward, separate your knees a little bit so you can reach down there in between your knees, even lean way forward. So you really open up this back of the knee and get that mat as tight up into that knee crease as you can, and then have a seat back down. This is going to help the knee itself, right? It pulls those tendons into the back of the knee and creates space in the knee. It may, not feel great. Breathe, breathe, breathe. All right, and then come up. You can come up through a dog pose, take a little dog pose, see how those lower legs feel. You can, of course, do the bend one knee, straighten the other if you would like, but just see how do the calves, backs of the ankles, heels, soles of the feet feel. Walk your hands and feet towards each other. Now you will need some kind of a wall space. Doesn't have to be the wall. It could be that credenza there behind you. I suggest some padding on the floor. You could move your mat if you want to. Have a block. You have a foam block. This is a good time to use a foam block, but wooden block will work just fine. That's what I have. And we're going to do a little bit of footwork. Not a whole lot today. Focus more on the lower legs. So when you lay down, your buttocks won't be at the wall. You want to make 90-degree angles with the hips and with the feet. And you can use just about any surface, the side of a bed, furniture. Let's stick first with the calf muscles. So keep the balls of your feet and your toes on the wall. Just tap your heels. And you can make a little bit of noise when you do that if you want. You can hear the tap of your heel. You don't have to stay light. Don't put a hole in the wall, but tap out a little rhythm there. too bad. All right, tapping the heels, that shortens the calf muscles. All right, so let's stop there. Heels on the wall. And we're gonna tap the balls of the feet. So don't worry about the toes. You can even pull your toes towards your head a little bit. But we're gonna just tap the balls of the feet. So try to hit the big toe knuckle and the pinky toe knuckles at the same time. Just tapping the balls of the feet. Now this one may start to burn. This is all those muscles on the shin. We don't think about there being muscles there, right? Because it's so thin. Those are the muscles that get sore, the shin splints that we get from running, even from walking. So we're just exercising those muscles. Keep going. I know it's going to get hard, but try to just keep tapping. You can slow down if you need to. Try to keep tapping. Really work those muscles. Five more. All right, stop there. Straighten your legs up the wall a little bit. Just let them rest. Then let's put the feet back on the wall. Now, like we did when we were standing, right? But this time we're gonna pick the inner and the outer edges up of the feet. So don't use anything between your knees just yet. Let your knees go wide and touch the outer edges of your feet onto the wall. So it's like you're in Baddha Konasana, but your feet aren't touching. All right, and then let the knees come together, turn your feet out. Now your feet may end up more like in a V shape, but touch the inner edge of your foot to the wall. It's not going to be so much that whole inner edge, but you can get the inner edge of the ball, the big toe knuckle to touch the wall. All right, so knees wide, outer feet touch. Knees together, inner feet. One more time, outer, inner. Outer, inner. All right, so you see how the knees are moving. So we're letting the hips take some of the work out of the ankles here. So grab your block and place that between your knees. All right, so this is just going to really isolate that work into the lower legs and ankles because you're going to hold that block and then tap your outer feet. So you'll feel you have to move your ankles more. Then tap your inner feet. All right, so just back and forth. Outer feet, inner feet. Outer feet, inner feet. All right, so this is eversion when the soles of the feet point out, and inversion when the soles of the feet point in. So outer feet is inversion, inner feet is eversion. Out and in. Some people will call it supination and pronation, but it's inversion, eversion, and it burns too. Yes. Couple more. Keep going. One more. All right, grab the block, take your feet up, let them rest. Good. Now you're gonna come away from the wall. If it's comfortable for you to just spin around and lay down where you are, you can do that. If you need to adjust mats or blankets, you can do that as well. We're just gonna lay on our back. You can straighten your legs for a moment and give those lower legs a break. It really burned. I'm laughing because mine are on fire. All right, now, really simple exercise for working, especially the shin. It works the calf muscles as well. This is something that I was taught years ago by a running coach for shin splints. All right, so put both feet on the floor. And then you're just going to cross one foot over the other, one leg over the other, like we're sitting around having tea. Now, with the big toe of that foot that's crossed over, you're going to draw the alphabet. Let's do capital letters. You can do lowercase too, but let's do big letters. So just draw the letters as big as you can draw them. Big loopy letters with that toe. So you see how you're doing flexion or plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, inversion, eversion. You're getting some rotation in there, moving all in those different directions. Don't forget the little line on Q. Doesn't that burn? And then once you finish, you can uncross that leg, straighten it out, let it rest. Sticking with capital letters, you're drawing the alphabet with your big toe. This leg gets a little cocky because it gets that extra rest, and then it gets to the letter S, and you're like, shit. All right, once you finish, uncross the legs, straighten that leg out, let it breathe. All right, and then bend your knees, feet and knees together. Let's drop the knees off to the left-hand side as you turn the belly, the head to the right. Little twist there. Soften the abdomen. Couple of nice deep breaths here. Back to center. Drop the legs off to the right. Head and belly turn to the left. Nice soft belly, so don't make this an abdominal pose. The legs relax, abdomen soften. Couple of deep breaths. Then all the way back to center. Set your feet down. Make sure your hips and shoulders are aligned. And then knees in towards your chest. Pull those shin bones towards your head as you release the sacrum. Lengthen that lower back. If you want, you can do a little rock side to side. Knees can be apart. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on your abdomen or your diaphragm. And release the legs, line up hips and shoulders. Shoulder blades towards your waist, buttocks away from your waist, and we'll straighten the legs for a short Shavasana. You're needing some energy, focus on the inhalation. If you need more chilling out, focus on the exhalation. If you need it all, deep inhale, long, slow exhales. Eyes soft, face soft. And then as always, you can stay longer in Shavasana if you have the time and the desire. If not, emerging slowly, take a couple of breaths. Bend your elbows, rest your palms on your torso. Take a couple of breaths so you can really feel the breath. With your chest, your belly, and with your hands. Bend your knees one at a time. Let the soles of the feet connect with the ground. And then whenever you're ready, you'll roll to your side. Make sure you're not rolling onto a block. Notice where that thing is going to. Press with your arms to sit up. Take a moment to thank yourself for coming to class, continuing your practice. Slowly raise your head, slowly open your eyes. Lovely afternoon.